They say to dress for the job you want, not the job you have. And I want to become a lizard person. I would like to rule you. I'd like to lie to your face and then do something else because it benefits me. I would like to be as corrupt as possible. I would like to enrich myself and then tell you it was for your own benefit. I'm Jeremy Kaufman, and I'm running for U.S. Senate. I'm serious.
Have you guys heard of Matt Miller? He's not only the guy who paints those amazing portraits of all your favorite heroes in the Liberty Movement and in pop culture, but he's also now an official sponsor of this show. From Murray Rothbard to Ron Paul, Dr. Robert Malone to Darth Maul, Matt Miller's Liberty Portraits has something fun for everyone to spice up your home or office and showcase your heroes. Go check out his incredible work at libertyportraits.com. Grab a print to impress your friends, hire him for a custom portrait, or bring him out to a festival to capture your event in real life in a beautiful and unique way. To find out more, just head over to libertyportraits.com. Once again, that is libertyportraits.com. Today's show is sponsored by libertarian conspiratorial fantasy author Jack Casey. Whether you're looking for a 3-book fantasy sci-fi epic of love, death, and dystopian civil war like the Royal Green series, or just looking for a quick, dark, comedic cultural commentary tale about a transsexual slayer of COVID regime vampires, like his latest book, WVW, Jack Casey Books will keep you adequately entertained and pondering the universe to your weird little heart's content. He's the Ayn Rand meets Stephanie Meyer meets somebody who actually writes entertaining books with his own unique little downer-esque flair. Find out more about Jack Casey Books at the aptly named jackcaseybooks.com. Once again, that is jackcaseybooks.com.
The following is a Goulash Media production. goulashmedia.net.
I'll make questionable decisions. I'll be in fact of all I saw. Judge me for my sins. If I'm your image.
That intro is way cooler when I actually, hit the right button at the right time. Hey guys, welcome back. Welcome back to the least comfortable show on the web. It's The System is Down, a place where we talk about all the uncomfortable topics like conspiracies, politics, religion, and a whole bunch of nerdy libertarian shit. We're talking about the latter one mostly today, but probably all of them in some way or another because, they all blend together. But it's another episode of Candidate Grilling, and we've got a very special guest that we'll get to in just a moment. Before we do that, got to remind you guys of my very most favorite sponsor, which is you guys in the Downers Club. People like Johnny Douglas, Adam Choit, something Crystal, Andrew something, Ozymataz Buckshank is a name that I never often forget. So good on you. Dickie Walnuts, Shannon Van Zott Media, Jack Casey, Craig DeCosta, Anthony Meyer, Davis Johnson, Howie Snowden, Nathan Sibes, David something, whatever. If you want to get your name on that list and possibly have it read incorrectly, go on over to patreon.com/The System is Down, where you'll get more weird, more raw, more offensive, more fun weekly content, because everybody who allows you to monetize hates me, except for Patreon. Oddly enough, so far, but yeah, we're getting out of here soon. But until then, patreon.com/The System is Down. If you like this shit and you want to support it, that's where you do it, and you get a bunch of stuff in doing so. So do so. Anyway, again, we had Eric Rautzep on a week or two ago to grill him or whatever that is, and that was fun. It was a good time. I wanted to do more. I intended to do much more of these. We might still have one or two left in the can before Reno, but it's something that we'll do ongoing, but had to get at least one more in with Reno coming up next week, and that is, of course, that's the thing that everybody's talking about. And by everybody, I mean, like, 0.01% of the population, which are us folks in the Libertarian Party. But to us, it's a very big deal. And for that reason, let's grill some candidates. My guest today is the one and only Angela McArdle, future chairperson of the Libertarian Party of the country of the United States. Angela, how are you?
I'm doing great, man. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. Thank you for being here. You were on a while back. It was like early on in the announcing of running for chair and all that stuff, and we asked a lot of base questions of who are you, where do you come from, all the boring shit, but hopefully will be a little bit more interesting today. I do have to ask, though, again, and I pretty much ask anybody who's running for any position in the Libertarian Party this question first and foremost: why do you hate yourself, and have you, gotten any counseling or therapy or anything to deal with this?
Yes, that's a really good question. Why do I hate myself so much?
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, I do.
Yes.
Must be daddy issues. That's what everyone assumes. And have I got therapy? Yeah. And in fact, I am also, little known fact, a craniosacral therapist, in addition to working in litigation and having that whole background. So I will work on myself all the time, like, why do you want to do this? Aren't there better things to do with your time? Why do you enjoy all the hatred that you get on social media? We're working through it all. I'll make sure to give lots of crying, emotional updates after I'm elected, because I know that's what people want.
Absolutely.
Out of their national chair.
I mean, it seems to be the case out of everybody in the LP over the last, as long as I can remember. But
Yeah.
Cringe. Yes. Now you said you are also a something therapist, and I know exactly what that means. But for the lesser smart people out there, what is that word you said, and what does it mean?
Oh boy, another reason to hate me and think I'm weird. A craniosacral therapist is a Western alternative medicine modality developed by a former spinal surgeon, Dr. Upledger, who now he founded the Upledger Institute. He's since passed away in old age. And what we do is we manipulate very, very gently, much more subtly than chiropractors, nerves, bones, and tissue in your body to get you back in alignment. There's a lot of really interesting work that can be done, and everything from just basic sports injuries to vaccine injuries to
Those aren't real.
autoimmune disorders, right? The vaccine injuries, which aren't real, and yeah, we're combating misinformation. And yeah, it's just all kinds of really fascinating stuff. I got into that after I was actually injured in a horrible car accident 10 years ago, maybe 12 years ago. And it was the only thing that worked for me after 9 months of traditional, Western medicine and acupuncture and massage therapy and chiropractic and the whole thing.
Nice.
I was fixed in 3 craniosacral therapy sessions. Changed my life, so I learned how to do it.
Nice. Yeah, and that has absolutely nothing to do with what we're talking about, but it is interesting, so it's all good. Maybe is that your side hustle, or like for all the other people who threw their lives away to politics, you're like giving them actual therapy?
It used to be, and I would love to start doing it again. I am just too busy. I did that really consistently for about 8 years. I would work full time in the law office or like part time, like 30 hours a week. And then in the evenings, I would go and treat clients, and I would do house calls or have them come to me. So one way that this is relevant is people wonder, why do I obsessively work myself to death with libertarian stuff? I seem to work about 12 hours a day. And on the weekends. Well, I've always done that. I enjoy working myself to death. That's my prerogative. I think it's fun.
Yeah.
So I will continue to have that work ethic.
So obsessive, and I mean, you kind of have to be in order to do this job efficiently. But cool. Now, I forgot to point out to the listeners, first off, if you're in the comments, if you have questions for Angela, we can't super chat, but if you do put fake super chat in all caps, I might get to it. I might not. It's my show. Whatever. But I also wanted to point out, new hat in the hat store at thesystemsdown.tv. It's very simple. It's very elegant and also factual. The system is down. And also, I wanted to show off a new shirt that I'm going to be wearing to Reno. It is a one of a kind. It is the Michael Heiss, what's the word? Inevitable shirt that some of you have. So that's not one of a kind, but this one is one of a kind because it actually says cope and seethe on it instead of inevitable. So I will be wearing that to Reno and possibly getting it signed by a few folks there, and possibly I might be auctioning it off after, but I also might be keeping it for myself because we'll see. We'll see how I feel, how generous I feel to the people. But I look forward to meeting you there, Angela, and getting you to sign it as well during the Cope and Seethe moment. Now, back to questions. My main question personally is, and I super chatted. I don't remember whose show it was on. Oh, I think it was Reed's show that you were on recently that I super chatted. I am a single issue voter when it comes to the chair, and it is this. You said that you would give Michael Malice the keys to the Twitter. Are you actually going to do that, or is that just politicians being politicians and giving hopes and promises that you cannot fulfill?
If he still accepts, yes.
Yes? Okay.
Yes.
And will it be made public whether or not he accepts?
Oh, yeah. I don't know how quickly we can bring that together, but that's going to be a thing. And the last conversation I had with him, he was on board. It's been a few months, but
okay. Yeah. We will hold you to that. Do you have
that was not BS. So that's a thing that I hope will actually happen.
Now, I don't know him personally in any way whatsoever, but I'm certainly a fan. I'm curious, do you have any concerns, like legitimate concerns about him using that destructively, or like what would the circumstances be, or are you going to say you can use it, but you have to run everything through us, or how does that work?
I don't think that he would agree to that. I don't think that that would be, that's not a realistic way to run social media.
Yeah.
So do I have...
The LP has proven that thoroughly.
Right. I mean, do I have concerns? Yes, but we have to weigh those concerns against the potential benefits and make a business decision just like anything else.
Yeah.
And I don't think we could do much worse right now. I really don't.
Gotcha. I'm for it. You have my vote if I were voting, but I'm not voting. But thanks anyway. I had to throw that in there. Now, a lot of people have given criticism of like the main go-to, aside from like the obvious racism and sexism, homophobia, whatever. We've talked about that to no end, so we probably won't even get into that too much today. If you still are buying into that bullshit, then go back and watch some of the 20 episodes that we've done on the topic. But the more reasonable and rational people, and even some of the haters, are just like, the crazy people are going to be running the asylum. Like, these people aren't qualified to lead. They don't know like how to do this. I don't know. Like, is there any concern that you guys are underqualified to do assuming that you got all the positions, not just yours, but everybody else's? Is there any concern about being underqualified for this?
No. So let's sort of unpack some of this.
Sure.
Most of the people who are running, not all, but most of the people who are running for positions on the Mises Caucus ticket have been Mises Caucus state organizers or regional organizers for at least a few years. They know how to recruit. They know how to deal with internal disagreements. They are good at diffusing interpersonal conflict. They understand messaging. They understand how to get people excited and amped up, how to convince people to attend functions, how to convince people to actually get involved and spend their time and resources and invest that in the party. So from a leadership perspective, I think we're leaps and bounds ahead of the average candidate. And we're the only people who really talk about leadership. It's a big elephant in the room. No one talks about leadership. No one talks about conflict resolution. Yeah. No one talks about communication. We're the only ones who even go there. And in fact, when I've talked about it on other debates and podcast interviews, sometimes my competition gets a little uncomfortable. I explained what a leader is. I said a good leader knows how to motivate people who want to bring a vision for the future into being. I explained what leadership is. It's about articulating a vision, embodying a certain set of values, which we definitely do in the Mises Caucus, and creating the right environment for things to get accomplished, which, as you've seen, we have definitely done. We need to talk more about leadership. It's a part of the natural hierarchy and spontaneous order that's just part of the human experience. Leaders are people who help us make sense of things, plot a course, and drive things forward. I think that pretty much everyone on the Mises Caucus ticket has shown that they're very good at that. In addition to having a whole host of other really valuable skills, like finance and CFO qualities, auditing, also some of the more boring, dry stuff, like HR policy and
Right.
all that stuff that goes on behind the scenes that they think we suck at. We actually have people who are incredibly qualified with like 30 years of experience in the field.
Really.
So I'm excited. I think we're going to actually professionalize, and if that makes people scream and cry, so be it.
It does. It does, just like everything else does for
Yeah.
those people that don't like it. And you mentioned like it makes some of your competition uncomfortable. So there's only two people running against you, right? Just Steve and
Steve and
who's the other
Tony
guy?
are the
Tony, yeah.
two other serious candidates. There's a guy named Chris who's also running as well from New Mexico. I don't believe he's attended nearly as many conventions and debates. So
Mm-hmm. Okay. And what is it? I mean, obviously, you think that you're more qualified than them, but what are your specific qualifications? Like, why do you think that you are the choice
Sure.
over, like, I don't know Tony that well, but I know that Steve has a lot of experience, particularly in this area of, I guess, leadership in the LP, running campaigns and stuff like that. So,
Yep.
in fairness, I planned on putting together a debate. Sorry to the rest of you guys. Didn't have time. Barely had time for this. This was set up last minute, like this morning, basically, or end of last week, and finalized this morning. But, it's my show. Get your own. But anyway, you versus Steve, and even you versus Tony. Like, why do you think you are the choice?
I think that Steve did a really great job in the 90s, and he's probably one of the best chairs that the party has had historically. So I have a lot of respect in that area. He also ran the Joe Jorgensen campaign, and I will say that I have signed a pledge not to engage in negative campaigning, but you can make up your own mind what you think about the Joe Jorgensen campaign, and that was definitely very recent and fresh in all of our minds.
Frankly, when I was, I mean, nothing against Steve, but when I was watching the debate that you did with him, I was like, really, that's all you had to say was, he ran the Joe Jorgensen campaign, and we saw what happened. I'm sure he did some great things. I'm not knocking anything he's done in the past, but it's like, if we're basing this off of what you'd done recently, it didn't turn out great, and it is what it is.
So we're at a different point in history than we were in the 90s. It involves understanding how to actually influence and inspire and motivate people. And we're not just competing. So we don't understand in the traditional Libertarian Party world, we don't seem to understand that we're not actually at the point where we're competing with Republicans and Democrats right now. We're competing with Netflix. We're competing with apathy, with people's personal time, their lives, how much time they want to spend at work, their children, feeling burnout. Those are the things that we're competing with right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like no one else is acknowledging this. You've got to motivate and inspire people to get them to join and actually invest their time. And that's something that I am very skilled at. And I think that Steve is also very skilled, and he has a lot of good connections with fundraising. And I appreciate that. And I have told him that if you want to be involved and help, like, I would be happy to have your involvement in that area. But so that's another thing that I think maybe sets me apart is the ability to delegate and recognize strengths and weaknesses and understand what your role is. I believe the role of chair is to be a leader and to project a vision and get people on board with that. Whether we like it or not, the National Party chair right now kind of has to be like a therapist and a mediator and understand how to move through interpersonal conflict. I have a lot of experience in that from my background in litigation. I have done informal mediations between people who were literally suing each other. I've been in the mediation room multiple times when it's like $1 million at stake. So it's not exactly the same, but it's very similar when you've got people whose emotions are running high. They don't want to compromise, and you're looking for the best possible outcome for both parties, or you're looking for something people can live with. That's a skill that I have. Project management. No one seems to talk about project management. We need to do that. We need to be able to hold our committees and people who are working on projects accountable in the most polite and positive and encouraging way. We've got to actually understand how to drive something forward. We've got to do a post-mortem when something we do fails and falls on its face. And we've got to have the humility to dig in and understand why was that a disaster? Let's not do that again. These are things that other people don't talk about. And it's stuff that I've had to do, obviously, in the Mises Caucus, but also in litigation and with some of the other, like, nonprofits and organizations I've worked with.
I think the running theory as far as project management as of late is the fewer projects you have, the lesser the amount of management that is required. So they've done pretty well at that. If you just don't do anything, then you don't have to manage anything. I could be wrong, though.
We need to get a lot more going, and that's going to take some judgment and discernment to understand, like, how much can we actually take on.
Yeah.
So strategic planning, SWOT analysis, actually reaching out to people, and you can't just assess someone's skills, right? So this is something we're doing in California. You need to know what someone's skills are, but you also have to be able to judge their commitment. You have to know what their time availability is. There's all these factors that go into it. What's it going to look like if someone starts giving 20 hours of their time a week, they go really hard, and then they burn out halfway through a project? Where's that going to leave you? There's all sorts of little factors like this that are really important that people don't seem to take into account. And that's why we see burnout. That's why we see things fizzle out. What about personality conflicts? How do we work through those? What if two people break up halfway through a project they were dating, nobody knew? Yeah. There's all these things, that you really need to have a pretty good handle on as a leader. And, I wish more people would pay attention to that, because I think that we actually do have a decent amount of manpower, but we just don't know how to utilize our volunteers properly. We just churn and burn them, which is not a good way to work.
Absolutely. Now, with all the criticism going into this thing, there's obviously the surface level attacks, the things that everybody who's paying attention knows about, like Massachusetts, Delaware, New Hampshire, stuff like that. But is there anything that you've seen kind of behind the scenes, the dirty politics stuff that you think deserves or needs to be called out or exposed?
Yeah, there are a couple of things. One, I don't know that I would call it dirty, but I would call it really poor management, bordering on incompetence, is when we send out from the national party these donation appeals without consulting the people who are in our donation appeals. So it's candidates, it's state parties. This happens in Indiana. It's happening right now in New York to a certain extent. Somebody needs ballot access. Somebody's having a ballot access fight. So New York is having a ballot access fight. Alabama, there are other states. Those are the two that are sort of competing for resources right now. And so National will send out an email campaign, whatever, and they say, oh, look at this candidate. They're working so hard. They need ballot access. Please donate to the national party so we can help them out. But they don't actually ask the state party first. Like, hey, do you mind if we do this? They don't ask the candidate. That money just goes into the ballot access fund at the national level. And, if it please the crown, maybe we can have some of it at the state or the candidate level. I think that's tasteless.
So it just goes into, like, general ballot access after they're using people's names and their campaigns, and then they're keeping the money saying this is going towards ballot access? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Can we get a little better communication?
Yeah.
Can we get a little better communication?
Yeah. I am curious, like, for me, the biggest issue that I see with the LP is the lack of transparency. Like, we have these fundraising things that money just goes God only knows where, and, just selling more hope through... Hold up. Something's happening. Okay, I think we're good. Like the mandate ad and stuff, we don't have to get too big into it, but that's the obvious one where you raise like $30,000 and you basically got what you could have got cheaper. Let's say that. And I know a guy who would have done it for much cheaper.
I know. I know the same guy, and I think we paid. So let's break that one down a little bit, and then I would love to get into the finances. I'll try not to make it too dry and boring.
Sure. Yeah, I'm mostly interested in what you're going to do to bring more transparency to these types of things. Because, like, I don't, like, if they have a justification for where all that money went or what they did with it, like things that I don't understand, I'm open to that. But it's just this, give us money and then here's what we got. a month later this okay video, and thanks guys. Now on to the next fundraiser.
Yeah. So it would be great if that video was still on the lp.org website, and I've looked and I can't find it.
It's not.
Doesn't mean it's not there. Doesn't mean it's not there. But I can't find it, which essentially it's not there.
Right.
So
kind of defeats the purpose of making it, whether it's there or not, if you can't find it.
They wanted to raise $100,000. We did not meet that goal. We raised $30,000. $5,000 of it was spent on the video. This is, by the way, this is all secondhand information after me asking. So if it's wrong, I apologize, but this is what I've been told repeatedly.
Sure.
A lot of that $5,000 video was stock footage,
yeah.
Which is not something that you pay $5,000 for. It could have been much worse. It could have been worse.
Absolutely.
It was better than I anticipated. I usually set my expectations really low so that I'm not as disappointed. I know everybody else was really disappointed. And then it was
I praised it. It was better than it was better than all. It should have been better than all of our expectations for the LP, which makes it even sadder that it wasn't.
Right. Right. So about $25,000 of it, as far as I know, went into advertising. I don't know exactly where. I know that it was places that were more blue collar, rural, and red politically. Mm-hmm. What it sounds like to me is that it was advertised in places that did not have mandates, which
helpful
doesn't really make a lot of sense. So I guess
it'll
there's a
reach
couple
more
of ways
people that agree with it, but that kind of defeats the purpose.
But it doesn't reach people in conflict zones. It doesn't generate like a lot of discussion. I think it ran on TV a couple of times. I've never seen it. It would be, you know what? This would be a fantastic thing to do a report on, to actually inform people and let them know this is where it went. This is how the money was spent. And then maybe some like quantifiable data on how it actually translated to us. Did we get new donations? Did we get new joins after that? How many hits did we get? What did we get on our website, our social media? You know, what were the key times? Did it play at 11 o'clock at night? Did it play as a commercial on the 5 o'clock news? Mm-hmm. If so, how did that translate into activity for us? Where did we get the most bang for our buck? We didn't get any of that. Mm-hmm. And what really sucks about that is it's not just like, oh, my transparency, I want to know everything that's going on, even though I should be able to. But that means that we can't learn from it. We can't improve. We can't pass that knowledge on to our state and county affiliates if they want to do something similar. Like it just goes into a black hole.
Right.
And that is not a good way to run an organization. We got to stop the black hole. I don't think that people did any of that stuff maliciously. Sure. I think that what happened is we just put people in charge of a project and they weren't particularly skilled or experienced in that sort of work. And that's not the ideal way to run things.
Right. Yeah. It's not always malicious. It's just you're not doing your job well. And that's still a good reason for you to move along, I suppose. Like, I don't know who's responsible for these things or whatever, and I don't really care who it is. It doesn't, it's not a personal thing. It's you're not doing your job well, so let's try something else.
And maybe you're better at something else.
Yeah,
so go do that. It's like no hard feelings. I could not go work at JPL. I don't know how to program a rocket. I suck at basketball. I'm not good at everything, but I just stay out of the areas that I'm not good at. I just delegate that to someone else.
Yeah. So what are some other areas of transparency that you think, need?
Okay.
Losing. Hold up. All right. I need a new mic cable, guys. Hey, go join patreon.com/the system is down and fund my next mic cable. Anyway, what are some other areas of transparency that you think are lacking now that you would bring?
Oh, man. So this is a rough one. There's this thing called the Frontier Project that I think is fantastic. It helped to get Marshall Burt elected to the state house in Wyoming. We spent a ton of money on it. And it's difficult to understand what that money was spent on, where it went, why it took so much money to get him elected. You can break this sort of thing down by like, how much did each vote cost? Like $11 per vote, why? And I think it might've been I could be wrong. It could be more than that. I'm guessing actually. I might be mixing it up with something else.
Sure.
Why did it take so much money when it would normally cost half that amount? I would love to know. I would love to know what that money was spent on. There's a new like LLC that we're working with at the national level in connection with the Frontier Project. Why is there so much secrecy around this? and the funding. All of the information is proprietary, so no one outside of the LNC knows how the money is spent, where it goes, what's going on, what the strategy is. I think that it's in bad taste and probably stupid to project every little strategic move that you make on social media and public videos, but we could probably share a little bit more information with our members. And I think as a result of the secrecy, people don't want to fund it anymore. So that was not handled well.
Sure. Now, let's dig into that a little bit deeper because I don't know anything about the Frontier Project or this LLC. I think I've heard about the LLC, but I don't know anything, really, other than hearing a name floated around, which I don't even remember offhand. What are they claiming this thing is, and what is? Oh, I don't know. What is this?
Right, exactly. So it's the format, it's the vehicle that we use to get people elected to state legislature seats in the mountain region of the United States.
Okay.
So this is specifically right now in Wyoming, but I know that they've looked at other states in that part of the country. New Mexico, Idaho, sort of everything from like New Mexico up, maybe Montana. And Apollo Pizzell runs it, and he does a really good job at working really hard to get people elected.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, we can't literally worship Apollo. We can't just literally throw all of our money at him and say, just do whatever you want. That's not a good way to hold yourself financially accountable. And that doesn't develop a good relationship because now people don't trust what's going on. And that means that they don't necessarily trust how Apollo is managing his money. I don't know if he's done anything improper, but there are rumors circulating. It's wild. So this has been kind of a disaster because now it looks like the project is not going to get funded. And it's constantly at odds, by the way, with the CRM project, which, there are some people who love our CRM.
I don't know what any of these things are, I'll be honest.
So our CRM, our customer relations management software, is the database that contains all of the membership information on National.
Okay.
It's that thing that you can't log into to check your membership status.
Right. Yep.
Yeah.
That's how you know it's good.
So, yeah. And that's a whole nother black hole of money, right? So we have a certain amount budgeted to go to pay for and support CRM, and also for the staffer, Andy Burns, who runs it, and he gets worked like a dog. So I'm not throwing any shade at Andy.
Sure.
But then when people donate and they want to earmark donations to go towards the CRM, instead of having that be additional funding for CRM, it goes into money that was already budgeted. I'm like, how does that work? No. If we set a budget, we know we're making this amount of money. That's what goes to that. And then if someone makes an additional donation on top, you don't rob Peter to pay Paul. And that's kind of what we're doing. It's just like terrible financial practice. It's just not good. So here I come, the Twitter edgelord coming to destroy the organization with no idea at all what to do about finances, not even paying attention, clearly.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I like it. I'm down. Yeah, just whatever. I mean, I don't even really care. I'll be honest with you. Like, I hope you win, certainly, and I hope the takeover is successful. I'm down, but there's a part of me that's just like, I want to see you, and this is going to sound really wrong, but I want to see you guys succeed in the same way that I want to see Donald Trump succeed. Really, just like, I don't want the same thing. I want the something else. Just, I don't care. Just something like, certainly, I agree with you guys in principle far more than I will ever agree with Donald Trump in principle. So not the best comparison, but just like I did.
I get what you're saying.
I was stoked when Donald Trump got in just because I'm like, yeah, I mean, I voted for Gary Johnson, but he wasn't going to win anyway. So I'm like, yeah, let's see what this guy is. So yeah, like I trust that you guys have it figured out. And even if you don't, it's all good. I'm down for the ride.
It's not going to get any worse.
Yes.
People are afraid we're going to burn it down. And I'm like, no. It's already a smoldering dumpster fire. It's already like burned, and now it's just kind of like embers. This is our reality. We have to accept reality.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's painful, but that's okay because it's much worse to live in a fantasy world. You can't fix any of your problems if you deny reality.
Yeah. Absolutely. Speaking of fixing problems from denying reality, have you guys heard of Astero's penetration testing? Because I hear that they do fun cyber stuff.
Today's episode is sponsored by Astero's Cybersecurity Services. These days, organizations of all sizes are targets for cyber criminals, disgruntled employees, or even nation-state attackers. Astero's performs cybersecurity services providing expert guidance to help organizations defend against threats and protect their data. Astero specializes in penetration testing, where they perform ethical hacking on networks, web apps, or organizations as a whole to simulate what an attacker would do and plug the discovered holes before anyone malicious finds and exploits them. Asteros also specializes in vulnerability management, security awareness training, phishing simulations, cloud security audits, compliance readiness assessments, and much more. As technology expands, it becomes easier and easier to run a business, but if your security is not growing along with your company, then you're going to run into problems. If you don't personally have a company of your own, definitely pass this information along to someone who does, because for a limited time, Asteros is offering companies an attack surface audit completely free. Let Asteros discover potential entry points to your network and how susceptible your company or organization is to cyber attacks. To learn more and to take advantage of this essential offer, just go to asteros.com/free. That's Asteros, ASTEROS.com/free.
Flawless transition. Nailed it. Now,
It was relevant because I do hope that we can get to doing some pen testing on our CRM and our internal software as well, because I think that's really important.
well, you should check out Asteros at asteros.com/free or something. Yes. Now, I am curious, like, with all the like controversies and everything, like setting aside all the rumors, all the bullshit, for you as like one of the leaders of the Mises Caucus currently, basically, what do you think are some of the most like valid criticisms of the Mises Caucus and of yourself? Because not everybody that disagrees or not everybody that is against y'all are malicious or what have you. So what would you say?
Mean tweets. There's a lot of mean tweets out there, and they're coming from us. So I can understand. That rubs some people the wrong way.
Yeah.
I had a meme, not a meme. I had a Twitter poll about Kyle Rittenhouse. Who's the real MVP? Michael Jordan, picture of a basketball. LeBron James, picture of a basketball. Kyle Rittenhouse, picture of a little muscle there. And people lost their minds. They thought it was very offensive. I also thought it was offensive that Kyle Rittenhouse won when Michael Jordan is obviously the real MVP. But it is what it is. There's going to be occasional mean tweets. Oh, here's one.
They've both made some really good shots in their life, but
exactly. There's
Michael
going to be
Jordan
occasional mean tweets. It's not. I don't make savage, visceral, mean tweets every day, but you're going to get some from me occasionally. And if that hurts your feelings, I am sorry. I am sorry you feel. I am sorry you feel that way. You get a
sorry you're a weak ass bitch. I mean that wholeheartedly and from the bottom.
Well, there's reasonable people out there and they don't like mean tweets. And so I'm sorry, but I am going to continue to give a few really mean tweets every year.
Yeah.
It's not really that much. It could be much worse.
So if you're on the receiving end of that, just know you had it coming and it's your fault. Victim blame.
He was asking for it.
That's right.
Your Honor.
Dressed like that, he was asking for a mean tweet.
For the first time, I tweeted right in his face.
Yes, tweeted all over his face. Anyway, so how about, like, that's you, and that is one main criticism of the Mises Caucus in general. A lot of very individual people, but we're all lumped together as these mean tweeters just because we are, mean but tweets. It's whatever. Anything else, anything like more substantive than that? And what would you say to the people who don't like the mean tweets, like, the happy boomer generation that just wants to be left alone and wants Joe Jorgensen to become president?
Well, I'm going to tell you that not all the boomers agree, and that we have some pretty fiery boomers in the Mises Caucus. Mad respect to them. Mad respect to those boomers. Based boomers.
Like Will McVeigh's dad.
So let's run through some of the criticisms. Okay, so it's a bunch of incel white dudes. Okay, so that one
checks out.
Exhibit A.
Yep.
We don't know what we're doing. Okay, we kind of covered that one already, considering that we are more than half of the delegation at Reno. I think it's in bad form to reveal your numbers. This is some basic art of war stuff, but I will tell you we're clearly over half.
Okay.
So this is happening. I'm so sorry, everyone. Like, it's best to come to terms with it, embrace it. We're all going to be okay. What are some other criticisms?
Cope /seed.
We're mean. Okay, sometimes we're mean. You started it though.
That's right.
Um, what else? Man, what else do people say?
It's
It's
called
all,
blowback at this point.
yeah, it's all become so absurd and like next level.
Yeah.
We're mean. We take things over. We do. We do take things over because we recruit like crazy. So everyone should be happy because we're actually growing this organization.
Right.
So that is a good thing. It's a good problem. What are some other criticisms? We
I don't care.
use.
It's
I
fine.
can't.
It's fine.
We're
You've done
too
enough.
organized. We're too organized. I agree.
We're too thoughtful. We're too caring and compassionate. Too loving.
I am very organized. I am an organized individual.
And
I don't
frankly,
know.
I genuinely hope that this is the last time I even have this conversation, because I feel like I've had it a million times of like, oh, why don't people like the Mises Caucus? You know, hopefully things go the right way in Reno, and the question will be, what is the Mises Caucus going to do now that they're in power, rather than are the Mises Caucus a bunch of Nazis and white supremacist woman-hating men? Along with, you and C.D. McRae, who was just on last week, and Eric Rautzep, gay dude, and,
Audrey,
like,
who you just had on.
yes, Audrey as well. It's like, I'm not intentionally just picking people for the like the whatever, for the intersectionality of their personhood, but it works out that way nicely, that because there's a lot of individuals in the Mises Caucus I've found. Anyway, so what do you think, like, just broad picture of the Libertarian Party in general? There's a lot of, criticism of from people, even from good friends of mine, people like Mark Claire, who are like, the Libertarian Party is, I don't want to put words in his mouth, but he's like, Libertarian Party sucks, and you guys are feeling yourself, like, have false hope or whatever. What is the point? What is the purpose behind all this, and what is the point of the Libertarian Party in this dire time?
Okay, so I'm so sorry. I don't have any energy before Reno to give to bitter ex-girlfriend types. So I just want to throw that out there.
Love you, Mark.
For people, yeah,
Yep.
I said it. For people who are burned out and black-pilled because they have had interpersonal conflict, lost their jobs, failed relationships, they're frustrated at the state of the country. I understand that stuff is it's traumatic and it's difficult to go through, and it can greatly change your perspective and outlook on the world and your place in it and how you interact with it. I wish you the best of luck on your political and personal and spiritual journeys.
Mm-hmm.
That's got no bearing on how I am going to proceed through life, because I'm accountable for my personal actions, and so is everybody else in the caucus. How we spend our time and energy trying to change the world is our business. If you want to go about making changes in another way, best of luck to you. If you're going to completely unplug, if you're going to convert to Orthodox Christianity, if you're going to join the GOP, hell, if you're going to try to take over the Democratic Party, sounds totally nuts. It would behoove me to wish you the best of luck. So I do.
Yeah.
But our place right now is to wake people up, especially at a grassroots level, turn them on to liberty, educate them, and get them involved so that they can take back their individual sovereignty. That's my agenda. That's what I'm doing. If people want to argue with me and debate about it, we will totally have time for that after Reno. But I don't have any time in my life for loser, whiny energy right now. We got like 10 days left, and that's like eyes on the prize, man.
Yeah, I agree, and I understand where Mark's coming from, quite frankly, and no disrespect to him, but I'm also like, he is entitled to his time, like when he wants to post these things, and I don't think it was intentional, because as he posted, he was talking to me at the time, like right around the time that he posted it, and he was asking about something completely unrelated, and I was like, how about we do that after Reno? And he's like, when's Reno? Like, he didn't even know what was going on, because he's not paying attention to the politics around it, and I have no problem with that. More power to you, but it is, that's fine. I'm also like, if like, having Hody on to talk about why the Mises Caucus is a cult, like, I don't hold it against anybody. I disagree with you wholeheartedly and everything, but I don't know. I hold a lot of this stuff pretty loosely enough that it doesn't bother me as much as it does some people. But I understand why some people are pretty pissed off about it right now too. So it is what it is. But now, I don't think we
So the purpose of the Libertarian Party in general, like, what do you see as like the value? I mean, it's kind of like this old thing that had a point at one point, and a lot of these guys kind of fell off because it's just been this like dead turd floating around
Yeah.
these two actual parties. What is the value that you see in the purpose of the Libertarian Party?
I mean, the purpose of the Libertarian Party is to let's sort of look at like the overarching theme, right? We want to see a freer world in our lifetime. And then you can kind of scale in a little bit. You want to see a freer United States that's screwing over less people in our lifetime. And there are a few different ways that we go about that. And when it's a national organization, that's this big, you can go about that more than one way. People argue over whether the purpose is to win elections or just to spread the message of liberty. The purpose is to make the world a freer place to live.
Yeah.
And we're going to do that by any means necessary. And, my pet project is to do that through messaging. And you can certainly utilize candidates to do that. And if we get to the point where we actually start having serious electoral success, that's freaking fantastic. But we've got to have a low time preference strategy on this, or else our purpose is just meaningless. Like we don't actually work towards fulfilling our purpose. We get on this high time preference hamster wheel where we're just panicking and scrambling. Oh, get out a bunch of tweets,
Right.
send out some crappy emails with bad graphic design,
Yep.
run in a race. Oh, we got 3%. Oh my gosh, that's amazing. Like that is not our purpose.
Yeah.
But there's a lot more to it than that, right? I think that we really need to, like, in a very fundamental way, rediscover our purpose and try to actually fulfill it. Because right now we're so afraid of ourselves. Like the Libertarian Party has such low self-esteem, and we're afraid of
Low
how
T
the world,
energy.
right? It does, how the world perceives us. We're afraid of failure. So we kind of hide in the safe haven of our philosophical social club and our stupid internal party fights that play out on social media. So right now, I would say that the traditional old guard of the Libertarian Party is completely alienated from its intended purpose. It doesn't know what it's supposed to do, and it doesn't want to know what it's supposed to do, because that is just too painful to come to terms with.
Yeah. And by what it's supposed to do, you just mean what? Speaking truth to power, getting or everything.
Trying to make the world a freer place to live.
Yeah.
And that means that we're going to have trial and error, and we're going to have to discover what our flaws are, what we suck at. We're like, what's a good way to put this? I think that this is one of the ways that we get criticism, right? This is a criticism that the Mises Caucus gets and that I get too. Is because when I talk about this, we come a little too close to comfort. And so I've been met with a lot of sharp and defensive criticisms from a lot of people who have been in the party a long time, because it hurts their feelings when we say the party sucks and it's not doing its job.
Yeah.
But I care enough to sort of look past all of those insults and obstacles to really get to the truth of our purpose, and to help us actually grow some self-esteem so that we can fulfill that purpose and do what we're supposed to do. I think the insults and the misgivings, they're really associated with like kind of cowardly, lack of courageous behavior, and an inability to trust, and some arrogance, and hubris. But maybe it's a good test for us in some ways, because it's sort of like in the beginning, you asked, like, why am I willing to do this? Like, well, think about it. Think about it being in like an abusive relationship. If you really cared about this party, you'd be willing to put up with some of the drama and dysfunction and insults so you can discover our purpose. I guess this is like a woman's like romantic fantasy. I can change him.
So this is like the what, 50 Shades of Grey politics here, where you're just like, you're dealing with it because you know that I've never read fiction. I've made a bad comparison because I don't even know the story, other than seems like an abusive relationship.
Yeah, I hope that I don't get literally, flayed and whipped in my role. But
yeah, you never know.
We're gonna peel back this fear of failure. We're gonna figure out all the neuroses of the party, and we're going to proceed boldly, and we're going to work towards a freer world in our lifetimes. And if that means that we have to face criticism from the outside world and understand that everything that we've been doing is backwards and wrong, if that means we got to learn that the people we've been trying to reach out to, they're never going to vote for us, they don't care about freedom, they don't give a shit about us. Okay, we're going to take those hard lessons and we're going to utilize them in the best possible way. And that's like, before we can even start moving towards our purpose, we gotta do all of this work behind the scenes so that we can lay a proper foundation. And that is really what I am here to do, is to do that hard, ugly work that no one else seems to be willing to do, and look at those hard truths, look them square in the face, and, confront reality.
Yeah, absolutely. Now we do have to talk about the two elephants in the room, which are Eric Rautzep and Josh. Asshole Josh. I love Josh, and I'm for Josh because I like Josh, and I don't care about politics for the most part. But I am curious. Like, there's been rumblings of like, why this, why that, why not Josh, and stuff. Yeah, give me your take on it. Give me your side of that story.
Okay, delicate topic, because I don't want to badmouth anyone.
Sure.
Because there's a good chance I could be working with either or both of them.
Sure.
I work pretty closely with Eric. Eric is not good at messaging, and that's okay, because he is not going to be the messenger, and he's stated as much. I need someone who's going to be more like a COO. I need someone who's going to do paperwork, administrative stuff, all of the boring stuff. There's people are so excited about the messaging. I'm excited about it too, but there's a lot of other grunt work that's got to be done. And Eric is willing to do that, and he's very diligent, and he has a good work ethic, and he communicates well, and he can work well in a group. And that's why I would much prefer Eric to be my vice chair, and that's why I have endorsed him.
Okay. Now, Josh did push back on this admin idea, whatever, like in one of his, I think it was on Dave Casey's show, or the debate that he did with against Eric on Dave Casey's show. And his criticism was obviously, that's not the vice chair's position. And to an extent, I have to agree with him, like, because the vice chair has to be somebody who can do the things that you are pushing, like the messaging and all these very important roles that the LP is slacking in. So Eric would be a better admin, and that's why you're going for him, to my understanding. And I'm probably oversimplifying that, but do you have any concerns? Because you say that he's not the messenger guy. What if he has to be the messenger guy?
The vice chair's role is to assist the chair.
Yeah.
So I
Until
feel like
the chair
this constantly, that is literally the role.
I don't
and
need to put anything on you here.
No,
no
okay.
hexes.
That's what I need assistance with. So when it comes up with, what about Eric this, what about that, it's always in a scenario of like, what if something happens to me?
Yeah.
That's the scenario. And if something happens to me, like where this is like, if you're on a desert island with no Zoom,
yeah,
then the LNC is going to do what it needs to do. That's, I'm going to leave it. I have full faith and confidence in the entire organization that they're going to pick the right person to become chair after me.
What about when the big scandal comes out where you're like stealing delegates or like overthrowing state parties or whatever? Because I think I'm pretty sure that comes with the territory of the chair.
Become
at this
a Fed,
point. Yes.
All of that. I'm going to try really hard not to become compromised by the CIA.
I appreciate
or
that.
to steal party assets. So those are my pledges. Those are my.
The bar was
pledges
set low, to be honest.
Yeah, I promise not to work for the CIA or FBI or IRS, and I promise not to steal state party assets. That is my commitment to you.
Nice. Really dedicated. I appreciate that. So with the Josh thing, if Josh does get it, I mean, that's certainly a possibility at this point. He's rallying the troops for regardless of how you feel about that. How will you handle that if he ends up being the vice chair?
I mean, I'll work with him just like I would have to work with anybody who got elected.
Will you handle it better than Joe Jorgensen handled accidentally getting Spike Cohen?
Oh my gosh, yeah. So this is another thing that we got to change institutionally. Is the chair needs to stay in constant contact with the officers. That's how we develop really good board culture, right? Is by keeping them in the loop. You don't roll into a meeting and you propose a bunch of shit and nobody knows what the hell you're talking about. That's a horrible way to run an organization. That is what Nick Sarwark did. That is what Joe Bishop Hinchman did. We are not going to be doing that. So whoever I get with vice chair, they've got to be my right-hand man. They've also got to work. And that doesn't mean you're going to be excited by the work. But, I'm not excited about financial audits. Actually, I am. I'm very excited about financial audits.
You're that kind
but I
of
won't
autist.
necessarily, because I am a total masochist.
Yes. Masochist, I believe,
Yes,
is the
yes, there we
official
go.
term. All right. So speaking of messaging, I do want to talk about some messaging topics in particular, because the Libertarian Party, as we all know, all these things happen. Eventually, they might come out with something. They might say something on code, like when all tyranny is breaking
Yeah.
loose. 6 months down the road, they might say something and still have it
Or a year.
suck.
Yeah.
What is so? First off, like, what is the? I guess if something comes out, what is the turnaround time that you expect? Like, how are you going to do differently things? Are you going to committee each post and that type of thing? What will be your process for, when shit hits the fan?
So we're going to actually work out that process together as an organization, as a board. Whoa, what a concept.
Yeah.
But it's going to be designed so that we have the shortest turnaround time possible. The people who do their roles in messaging are actually empowered to do that, and we trust them to do a good job. And if there's something that they suspect is going to be controversial or people may not like, they're going to run it by a short list of people. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
So let's take the let's look at looking back. Let's look at the COVID crisis, as our dear blue-pilled friends would refer to it as.
Mm-hmm.
So it happens. A member of the LNC says we should stay in our lane and not talk about it. I'm not going to say that person's name. She's not running for another position again, so it is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Another member of the board, Karen Ann Harlows, is rightfully so very upset by that and thinks we need to speak out on it immediately. She puts together a little committee. I attended some of the meetings on people who are trying to sort of develop some messaging and action around it, and it just goes nowhere because she gets sandbagged. So everybody on the LNC is just like scared shitless to do the right thing and speak out against it.
Mm-hmm.
What really needs to happen in that situation? Well, if we could really wave a magic wand and go back in time, we'd elect different people. But short of that, what needs to happen is the chair has to say, okay, this is literally the issue of our lifetimes. This has been the most egregious infringement on personal freedom since at least the draft, and then obviously as time progressed, it started to be questionable as to whether it was worse than that.
Mm-hmm.
We got to say something. So I want to say this, right? But you're all like terrified. So I'm going to take it down a couple of notches. Can we agree that we can start with this? And we'll take it week by week. What you got to do is you got to encourage people. And you got to say, okay, if you literally no one is going to do it, I'm going to say it and we're going to have the national account retweet it. And you're going to gauge based off of that. And you just got to build people's courage up. And so if we come into a situation, and I don't think we're going to, by the way, but if we come into a situation where people are nervous about speaking out against something that's going to be unpopular, I'm willing to bear the brunt of the criticism. And after that, it's my job to encourage and build people up so that they feel comfortable and confident that we can do this. And if I have to start a couple of notches below where I want to be, so be it. But we're going to push and work up and build up that self-esteem and assurance together.
Mm-hmm. So if Michael Malice does not accept the role of Twit Lord, or whatever the official title is,
Mm-hmm.
Do you have an alternative? Do you have somebody else that you think would be fitting for that role, or is that kind of up in the air?
The people who are running for LNC positions who do a really good job at state affiliate messaging right now are Dave Benner and Connor Nepo. They are fantastic. I totally trust them to do a good job.
Cool.
Connor is running for Region 3 alternate. He's like the comms director for the Michigan LP. He does a fantastic job. I know Facebook is kind of dying and on its outs, but he does a really great job at that. I believe Dave Benner is very active on the Tennessee LP Twitter, and he does a phenomenal job. So there are plenty of people who I trust and who I actually think are going to do a good job.
Awesome. Now, we do have a couple super chats. We'll get to those, and then I want to go through a couple lightning round topics with you. But Adam Choit asks, fake super chat. He says, can we morph Eric and Josh into one person, combining only their strengths? I don't trust Eric, by the way. Makes me nervous. Would rather him be your actual personal assistant than vice chair, to be honest.
can we morph them into one? I mean, I get a little bit weird about transhumanism and like,
It's not very
gene
libertarian of you.
editing, yeah. But, I also believe strongly in informed consent. So
Hmm.
I'm sure that, one of them's had the vaccine and, who knows if they hold hands.
Yeah. Is there like, in seriousness, is there a path to like, if it, like, assuming if Josh got the vice chair position and he's wanting to do like, maybe he's wanting to be more involved in like some of the messaging or the Twitter stuff and that type of thing, which are, kind of his strong suits. Is there a way to bring Eric in as kind of a personal assistant and have kind of the best of both worlds in that situation?
Yeah, there's a way to bring them both in. Like whoever ends up with the spot, the other person's not out in the cold.
Yeah.
But I mean, so there's a lot of talk about what I would like, but the reality is it's the delegates who are voting.
Yeah.
And I will tell you that the Mises Caucus delegates are split. This is not all in the bag
Yeah.
for maybe the person who thinks it is.
And the
that
Mises
is
Caucus should be pretty glad about that because we've got, in my opinion, two great guys who, like if that's the struggle is deciding who's better between two guys who I think are good, that's far better than any of the previous alternatives.
this is as far as conflict goes, this is a good problem. Could be
Absolutely.
there's a lot of worse problems to have.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm not going to be pushing anybody out. Whoever ends up not getting the spot, no one's cast out, no one's disinvited to the party.
Yeah, for sure. Now, Shannon Lee says, fake super chat. So Angela was vocal about wanting Eric as VC. When Josh wins, how will that relationship work? I mean, we kind. Also, I don't screen these. I don't read them before actually reading them out loud. So if I already asked the question, that's perfectly fine, and we kind of already did address this. But if you have any thoughts on that, she says. She also says, I've only ever heard Joshua speak highly of Angela.
Can you put that on the screen again?
Sure. Yeah, it was just basically like if she says when Josh wins, how will that relationship work? Which we kind of already did.
I think I addressed that, but Shannon, I don't know if you're going to convention or not. I think Shannon's out of Florida.
She's not.
Okay, yeah, Florida is a strong Josh state. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think it would behoove you to check in with everybody else, everywhere else, figure
Sure.
out, kind of where that's at.
Yeah.
I understand. I totally appreciate rooting for your guy. I think it's great. I'm trying to talk about everybody in the best possible light right now.
Yeah.
And it's a sensitive topic. So let's take that into consideration.
Yeah, and Josh even speaks highly of Eric. There's issues like the gun thing, stuff like that. I mean, this is about as friendly as politics can be, in my opinion, and I think it's great. And I think it's certainly beneficial to our party to have, again, two great guys going up against each other. And if one edges the other one out, that's politics for you. And whatever. Now, I do want to talk about, actually, was there any more fake super chats? Let me see. Oh, Penord says she didn't promise to not work for the NSA.
Oh, okay. I will promise not to work for the NSA.
Nice. Nice.
I promise not to work for alphabet agencies.
Nice. That is, that's a step in the right direction.
If at any point you interview me again and things are going crazy and I start blinking twice,
Only
I'm
twice.
in danger. Yeah, twice, 2 blinks in a row. You'll know something's up. Someone. I need an extraction.
Or you're having a stroke or something to that effect. But the road to Providence. David Bradley says, what are the top 5 LP state affiliate social media accounts according to Angela?
Oh, okay. Let me go through these. Tennessee, Michigan, Minnesota, Colorado. The 5th one is really hard. The 5th one's really hard. People are going to want me to say California because it's my home state. California Twitter is really good. Florida has really good Instagram.
Nice.
The 5th one is tricky. I gave you top 4.
Nice. I'll take it. Now let's talk about some messaging again. I want to do kind of like semi-lightning round of like what would your ideally if this thing happened, what would be your like first tweet that comes to mind, what would you put out, or what do you think the party should put out?
Under new management.
What's that?
Under new management.
Yes. So these are like the topics of the day. We'll start with Ukraine. What would be your quick response, assuming that you like had the information that you have now? Like, I'm not saying that we should go out and blast a premature twit or whatever about some stupid thing, but once you have all the information and the information that you know now, what do you think that the LP's stance, if there is one, should be on the Ukraine situation?
I think we need to be roasting NATO really hard. We need to be roasting NATO. We need to be taking Ron Paul's speeches about blowback, like little clips, 20-second clips, 30-second clips. And then once he mentions another country, we just got to superimpose someone else's voice going, Ukraine, Russia.
Yeah, I like it. Take it. How about we already did COVID, but what would be your quick response? Just COVID in general, or lockdowns and mandates and all that shit.
Really, really good images, screenshots, whatever, of people's lives being ruined by lockdowns. People talking about how so-and-so committed suicide or died because they couldn't get a cancer screening. I have a friend who died of a heart attack. Small businesses being shuttered, destroyed. Just on that one, you don't even have to wax philosophical. You just show the reality of it.
Right.
Just straight up, oh, look, here's a bunch of people's lives who were ruined.
Just open your window, take a picture, and post that on Twitter. Problem solved.
Never again. Hashtag, never again.
Yep. Now, Elon Musk, I did have down here because that's one of the current freakouts and buzzes and everything. What would be your take on that? And let me start by saying I don't think it is happenstance or a coincidence that you are definitely giving Michael Malice the keys if he agrees to it, right?
Yes.
Still?
Yes.
Okay, just checking.
Yes.
That happens right after Elon Musk, who is currently like, I don't know. I think him and Malice even communicated a time here or there. I think this is kismet, and I think that it would be an atrocity if we didn't utilize the simulation aligning so perfectly. But what would be your take on the Elon Musk situation?
You mean just him taking over Twitter?
Yeah.
Oh, we're going to support any culture that fosters free speech. Free speech is not just about speech. It's about thought.
Yeah.
The way that it's like, what's a good way? We're doing lightning round, but I'm so like obsessed with this.
My lightning rounds are always like 5-minute answers.
I know. I'm so sorry.
Don't feel bad.
Okay, so when we're going out and we're deciding something, we're trying to say something, we're forming our words and ideas. What we're really doing is we're forming our thoughts, and we're bouncing those thoughts off of other people. And we're like, I think this happened. I think this happened with Ukraine. I think this happened with lockdowns. What do you think? Sometimes what you're going to say is stupid, and you need other people to tell you that's stupid. And then you go home and you rethink your life. That's the purpose of the ratio. You get mad, but sometimes you learn and you grow. Free speech is critical to helping people in society develop critical thinking skills. Yeah. It's not just about like actual speech. It's about molding your thoughts and becoming like a stronger, more coherent individual who understands how to function in society, who understands how to become a better person. You get smarter. When you don't have free speech, people mentally regress. Yeah. So I want to fight against mental regression as much as I possibly can.
Agreed. And I'm sure the LP would say,
"Shut up, silly woman."
Anyway, how about let's go more real time, more current, present. Like, this Buffalo shooter thing? Do you think, like, if you were in charge, is now the time to say something, or is this something to sit on for a bit?
I think it is always going to be the time to say something if there's a shooter, but you need to be careful how you do that. So what we don't want to do is capitalize off of a tragedy, but we've got to be willing to defend people's rights, even in crappy situations. Yeah. So I think that's a case where you need someone who's skilled in messaging to write the correct response. But yeah, absolutely, you can't just be like, oh, awkward and not say anything, because that actually says a lot. That speaks volumes, which is that you're too cowardly to defend your principles and your beliefs.
Absolutely. How about George Floyd in the BLM riots? What should have been the messaging there?
Private property destruction is wrong. Police violence is wrong, but you can't take out your rage at the state on private individuals. It's
Yeah.
just gross. And there's no reason to not speak out against violent riots they wrecked my city, $1 billion worth of damage on the Santa Monica Promenade. Dude, that is heartbreaking.
Yeah, that's crazy. So, we'll end this particular lightning round on one topic that's going around in the news and everywhere, and it's splitting the Libertarian Party, and that is, of course, abortion and the abortion plank. As a woman, I believe that you are still qualified to speak on this matter. So, what do you think the Libertarians? That's fair. That's a fair point that you've made. I don't know if either of us can actually speak on this because anyway.
I'm a craniosacral therapist.
What do you? But the plank in particular, the Libertarian Party is kind of split on if it should be a plank, if it should be addressed in the Libertarians, principles. What's your stance on that?
So this is an interesting one. I'm going to explain this as best as I can. I don't have a strong position on the abortion plank. A lot of people want to delete it, and I'm totally fine with that.
Yeah.
If it doesn't get deleted, I'm okay with that as well. I think that this is something that's going to represent a major cultural shift in the LP. And if that happens, it's probably a good thing.
Yeah.
The way that it's worded right now, it seems to be that mostly pro-choice people support it and pro-life people do not like it. So I think that's a really good indication of how the party has, leaned in recent history. By the way, I don't think that plank was always in there, not written the way that it is.
Yeah.
And the party in its history, I think initially the party was pro-choice up until a certain period, and then they were not. And that never gets discussed. Karen Ann Harlos would know more about that, but that's interesting. I don't voice really strong opinions about abortion. I will tell you that I am personally pro-life, and the one thing that hangs me up on a lot of the laws regarding abortion are once we get into questioning women or hitting them with criminal charges if they have a miscarriage. That's why I don't make strong statements about it, is because I haven't quite figured out what the appropriate response to those scenarios is. I will tell you that I think abortion is disgusting. I would never have one, and I don't recommend anyone else has one either. But yeah, until I can sort out that issue, you won't hear really, really strong pro-life statements from me because I feel that I'm not representing it in the best possible light. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and also you're not qualified because you're not confirmed to be a woman. So
yeah. Also, I'm not sure yet. We'll find out though.
Time will tell.
I think in the future, I could be a birthing person, so maybe I could have an opinion.
I'm hoping for that myself. I've been working on it myself.
Yeah.
But yeah. So how about that? How about the all the trans stuff and the kids stuff and the school stuff and all the stuff that's going around? What would be your stance on that? Should the Libertarian Party weigh in on what public schools are teaching kids in Florida?
Yeah. I think they should. I think that it's ridiculous that we have to constantly tiptoe around it.
Yeah.
What should our exact position be? I mean, now we're getting into we need to understand narrative. We don't understand narrative. So we need to understand who is our demographic. Who are the people who are likely to vote for us? That's important. Who are the other people who want to see a freer world in our lifetime? What does that mean? That would be great to know, right? Before we even dig in on messaging. Basic demographic studies. What does our messaging around trans issues, what does it actually translate to? I don't think it's good for parents to abuse their children. I don't think it's good for the state to abuse their children. I'm sure that there's probably a small handful of exceptions to the rule. I think generally giving children puberty blockers is a disaster.
Wait, there's exceptions to the rule of the state shouldn't be allowed to abuse your children?
Oh, no, sorry, no. There's probably exceptions to the rule about trans kids, but those would be exceptions.
Yeah.
Generally, from what I've read, when you give a child puberty blockers for too long, then they can't even transition later in life. So what good is this even doing?
Mm-hmm.
I think it's okay for us to point out some of the hypocrisy on this. I think it's okay for us to point out some of the sob stories. And we probably need someone who's really skilled so that we don't sound like total assholes. But like we at a certain point, like we can't literally please everyone. We can't make every single person happy. And when we try to do that, we please no one.
Right.
So we're gonna have to figure out something to say. And it's probably gonna be closer in alignment with giving kids puberty blockers is a real shit thing to do.
Yeah. I would agree. And with it, like, of course, we could spend hours on any one of these particular topics, but that's not what we're here for. So
Right.
I approve, and we'll move on. We got a fake super chat from Ofer Nave. I think that's how you pronounce that fake name. Is it possible to give Michael Mouse the Twitter keys on week 1 so that the LP takeover announcements will be more exciting to non-libertarians?
That's gonna be totally up to him. If it's possible, then I'm all for it.
Right on. All right. That's nothing, so we won't read that. But I do want to do one more lightning round, and this is on conspiracies because
Okay.
this is the stuff that I enjoy, and politics gets dry as hell, and we've already spent an hour and 15 minutes on that. So I know that like I relate to a lot of people in the Mises Caucus, and it seems like a lot of them come from similar backgrounds of they got into politics kind of through conspiracy doors and avenues, and this is something that I think is shunned and just ignored from a lot of libertarians. Like, don't talk about the conspiracy stuff because that'll ruin this amazing reputation that our party currently has.
Right.
But for me, it kind of helped bring me into more libertarian stuff, and I know that it has for other people. A lot of like libertarians came through because of Alex Jones. So first off, I'm curious your thoughts on that, on like conspiracy theories, and if this is something worth digging into. And then I want to do a even faster lightning round, talk about some conspiracy theory stuff.
Yeah, I think it's totally worth digging into. The thing that red-pilled me was reading the book The Creature from Jekyll Island by G. Edward Griffith.
Yeah.
I don't consider it a conspiracy theory, but other people say it's a little bit conspiratorial. It's about central banking.
Mm-hmm.
There's all kinds of weird shit that goes on with the Federal Reserve. I'm not even going to say it on video. I'm afraid I'm going to get swatted. Some of the stuff that I've messed around with personally with the Federal Reserve, totally wild and ego death, worldview imploding, in my opinion. So I do think it's worthwhile for us to explore some of that stuff a little bit.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's a lot of people I think that will never get into libertarianism through politics because they want nothing to do with politics. But they like the I've talked about this quite a bit lately. Like they want the exciting stuff, or maybe they're more into religion, and we all need to kind of embrace who we are and what our passions are, even like outside of libertarianism, because if we're just focusing on the politics of it, then we're not relating to people that will never be reached through politics. Like we need to focus on being honest and being real with ourselves instead of just going with the flow and grifting. But so we'll do this lightning round, and then we will wrap. But this lightning round is just conspiracy theories based true or false, like ideally just true or false. And
Okay.
it'll be like, do you agree with the official story on blank, or the official story on blank, is that true or false? Like you don't have to like have a in-depth explanation or anything, just
Got
do you
it.
believe the shit? So, let's begin. First, 9/11, the official story, true or false?
False.
JFK, official story, true or false?
False.
Aliens are real.
False. I'm not going to give you the caveat there, but it's false.
Okay. We probably should do bonus, but we don't have any time because I'm going to want to dig into all of these another time. We'll have some drinks at Reno and do something talking about aliens. But lizard people, real?
Ooh, that gets the same caveat as aliens. False with an asterisk.
Gotcha. All right. Epstein killed himself.
False. Oh, wait. The conspiracy is that he killed himself, right?
The conspiracy is that he did not, or the theory is that he did not kill himself.
Okay, but the
mainstream story is
the
he
mainstream
did kill
story is
himself.
that he
I'm
killed
pretty sure.
himself. False.
That's what they're still going with, I think.
Okay.
Ridiculous as it may be. The moon landing was legit.
I'm starting to lean towards false. Not 100% on that one.
I'll get you there another time. Jussie Smollett was the victim of a hate crime.
Come on. False.
COVID came from wet market bat soup.
False.
January 6th was an insurrection.
False.
Dave Smith was a coward before he came on TSID.
He was a what?
He was a coward before he came on this show.
A carrot?
A coward.
Oh.
There's people who have said that he was a coward for a while. There was some big campaign that people were doing calling Dave Smith a coward.
I'm going to say false with an asterisk. I think there's more to that story.
There is. And we will end there. That's enough of this.
Okay.
This silly nonsense. But in fairness, you came on before Dave Smith, the coward, was willing to come on this show. So you got more balls than he does, at least. But
we didn't even get to gray people and clockwork elves.
Oh, jeez. You want to go deep? All right.
We're
Great
around
people.
two at some point.
Great people exist in Clockwork Elves. True or false?
True.
Nice.
True
I
with
like
an
it.
asterisk.
I like it. I probably have more questions. Like, I don't know all that much about those topics in particular. So we've got a lot. But we'll talk about it another time because I know we both have a lot of shit to get done before Reno. So thank you for being here. And is there anything else that you felt like people needed to know or anything else that, this might be the last time they hear from you before voting in Reno? So is there anything else that you want to address?
Zeppelin rules. No,
Nice.
I think that's from Freaks and Geeks.
Yeah.
I think that what we're about to do is going to be one of the most incredible things that you could be a part of. We're about to take over the third largest political party in the most powerful country in the world. And that's nothing to sneeze at. And I'm taking it really seriously. And sometimes that comes across as dry and boring, but this is an incredibly exciting time to be alive. And I'm very excited about the future. And I'm excited that so many people are going to be a part of it with me.
Absolutely. Now tell everybody where they can find information on you, your campaign, the Mises Caucus, and anything else you want to plug.
You can find information about me, a lot of basic stuff at angelamcardle.com. If you want to see all of the campaign materials I put together and get copies of transcripts of speeches, you can go to patreon.com/Angela McArdle. If you want to get involved in the Mises Caucus, please go to lpmisescaucus.com. We will get you plugged in with your state and county leadership and just come make history with us.
Absolutely. Well, Angela, thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for throwing your hat in the ring. I obviously hope that you win and look forward to seeing it happen and looking forward to seeing all the stuff that you pull out of it. But thanks again, and we'll see you soon.
Awesome. Thank you.
Absolutely. And to all of you out there, thank you for being here. Thank you for hanging out in the chats and all that. No after party today. Got a lot of shit going on. But we will be back on Wednesday talking about some news, doing all the roasting and pre-Reno stuff and lots of fun things planned. So be here for that, and we will do this more. Until then, until whenever we meet again, question everything, stand comfortable, and peace out.
Welcome to the system, everyone's a victim. Doesn't matter if you're black or white, it hates you all. Here inside the system, violence is a symptom. Fighting for what's right, but somehow everyone is wrong.
Dun, 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 dun.
Hey guys, thanks for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe on your way out and help us change the world one uncomfortable conversation at a time. And if you like what you hear and you want to hear more, go join the Downers Club at patreon.com/thesystemsdown for bonus episodes of the show every single week. Until next time, please continue to question everything, stand comfortable, and I'll talk to you then. Thanks.
This has been a Goulash Media production. goulashmedia.net.
This concludes our broadcast day. Click.